Welcome back to my channel. This is Mr. Mental Health. Please like, subscribe, comment, share. But today's topic is biggest fears and why. A lot of times, it's just, it's a random question for conversation starters, but people really don't dive into it. So, I just want to kind of talk about mine just to get some feedback, on you guys' biggest fears. Well, one of my biggest fears is having to bury my kids. One of them, prayers up, one of them gets sick or something happens to them and I have to bury them, I feel like, and it's not my decision or judgment call to make, but I feel like they'd be robbed of life, and having to explain that to other siblings, I would prefer, if I had it my way, and I don't know if this is selfish or not, but I would want them to have to, bury me. I've kind of already prepped them and talked to them about, me not being here one day, but to have to be here and deal with it with them, and knowing the age that you're at and how you're pretty much, had, if you lived 40 years, for myself, for instance, 40 years, example myself, I've been here 40 years. I've pretty much seen, 75% of stuff, that I may see in life, except for traveling and, being rich, et cetera, but life itself, and I feel like they'd be robbed of that. But the stress of it, and I feel guilty, like, is it something that I did? And I know we don't supposed to have, the guilty conscience, but I'd be like, is it something I did? Is it something that went wrong? And, but that would be troubling. It'll be stressful to deal with. And I know in the end it's the same thing, because death is the one thing that doesn't come with a manual. Even in the Bible, or whatever your vice is, you believe, it nothing talks about death. Everything talks about how to live on earth and how to survive and love and loyalty, etc. But all that comes with life, but nothing talks about how you're supposed to manage death. The next thing is, and a lot of it got to do with my kids. If you know me, man, I don't do the parental thing for like social media. I just feel like as a man, if I'm alive and well, I'm always, try to make a way out of any possible way for my kids. But my kids being kidnapped or abducted, or like having to like deal with that, like not knowing where they at, if they dead or alive, they gonna return back home. But those are some serious fears of mine as it pertains to being kidnapped. Like, just, I know any female themselves, somebody sneaking up behind you and putting you in the trunk of a car, that stuff is traumatizing, just the thought of it, you can get overwhelmed just thinking about it. So of course that, because you worried about returning home, and then you always gonna think, you're gonna stay positive, but you always thinking in the back of your mind, like the what ifs, like what if they never come back? What if they not the same? What if they being tortured? What if they being raped? What if they being molested? It's just so many angles of the kidnapping scenario. And then the next thing is just failing my kids. I ain't perfect. I'm definitely flawed. Just based on my upbringing and pretty much life. I've tried to make some adjustments to, not try, but I have made adjustments to better myself. But like, I've lied, cheated, stole. I made poor financial decisions. By all means, I'm not perfect, but I never want to fail them. I always want them to know what it looks like for a man to stick around regardless of the circumstances. Like, I don't have everything that I want in life, but what I do have and the things that I'm trying to accomplish, I want them to see me work towards that. So they don't have to role model me or mimic me, but just to see the work and effort that I put in so they don't have to, experience some of the stuff I experienced. Like when I took my kids home before, they couldn't believe, what I came from and growing up on the south side of Chicago to the lifestyle that they never had to see. You know what I mean? So it was definitely like living in a third world country compared to, where I'm at now. And I think it's a good thing that they get to see those type of things. You know what I mean? So they can appreciate the stuff that they have and how hard I work for them to get it. So I definitely want them to understand the value of, what I've always done. For them to be, where they at. Huh. All right. For them to be where they at. Sorry about that. But yeah, so failing my kids, man, I want them to be better than me. You know what I mean? Especially from all the angles that I just named and all the things I've just named as far as just bad decisions that I've made because I didn't have certain type of people around me to show me differently. You know what I mean? A lot of stuff that you do, you kind of do as life progresses. Like, I'm gonna make this decision. This may not be this decision, but you can't say you succeeded in anything if you don't fail at it. So parent, and then I got a topic too, because I think the one thing that nobody talks about is the parental aspect of things. Like, we're not perfect as parents. You could grow your whole life doing something that your parents taught you, but that don't mean it's correct. You know what I mean? So you go through life and you're learning as you're doing and as you're teaching. But yeah, failing my kids, man. And I was just looking up some things like, what are some people's fears, man? A lot of people have fears with death. Like, that's like probably top 10 in life. People have fears with death. People have fears of just public speaking, anything that creates somewhat anxiety and you're out of your comfort zone. And then, of course, nobody wants to fail. Like, everybody wants to be successful by what their standards are. It don't have to be, celebrity standards or whoever. It has to be by your standards. And, of course, little stuff like spiders and et cetera. But, yeah, my main thing is, man, biggest fear. What's your biggest fear? Why is it your biggest fear? Have you faced any of your biggest fears? What did you do? Are you still struggling with what it's like to have those fears and not being able to overcome them? So those are my fears. And just wanted to share that. I do want to get into some more topics down the line, but I'm gonna kind of coast my way into those things. But yeah, like, subscribe, comment, Mr. Mental Health. Tell me what you think, how you feel about the video. What's your biggest fears and why? Thank you for checking it out.